Test, test. Okay, mic's working. Just making sure the stream's up. Okay. Okay, good. Turn the music down. Anyways, so I'm making a video today, streaming it as well, just because I don't like editing videos. But anyways, gonna be comparing. I have an M1 Lite Pro, I think, then the M1 Pro, M1 Lite, and then Cuban. So I'm gonna be messing with these three roasters today. Let me get it in front of you. So, and that's the thermal camera. We're gonna play with how fast it cools the beans while not looking super boring. So we got a thermal camera today for fun. So let me put that out the way. But anyways, so I got the original Kaleido M1, and then I just got that yesterday, and then I got the M1 Lite. I've been messing with, having a good time with. Still playing with the Cuban, still having a good time with that as well. So yeah, I think we've been blessed with a lot of these sub 200 gram or 300 gram kind of roasters. So at great prices for like sub $1,000. So I think we're at a fantastic spot with small roasters right now. But anyways, I'm gonna open this up. We're gonna try starting it up right away. It's all seasoned up and ready to go. I bought it from a gentleman who decided to go a little bit bigger, which is usually the case. So now I'm gonna open this sucker up and we'll see what's going on. Oh, let me get this camera running. There it is. Good. So this is back when they used to use fancy wooden crates to deliver all their roasters. They have now stepped away from that, and they're just sending them like normal packages now. No wooden crates needed. So that does save a lot on cost, because surprisingly enough, it's or not surprisingly enough, it's a little expensive to ship a wooden crate nowadays. And this kind of helps by packaging it this way. It definitely got there safely, but increasing the cost of shipping to like a lot of money. Oh, we destroyed that one, so. So yeah, the M1 Lite is just a really a good show of how you can do things to cut costs in the product and overall be able to ship it at a price nowhere near the like $1,000 range. Because this I think was before, used to be like 1,200. Used to be a crazy amount. Now it's a lot more affordable. And the foam I think probably ships a little bit better too. They have like this nice foam they use. Of course they put globs of tape. Well, the guy put globs of tape. He actually kept, this is like the original box that it shipped with a long time ago. I'm just gonna oh man, this is quite the process. So I got this yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to open it up. So I decided I'd just open it up on stream. I thought that'd be easy. But this guy put a lot of screws in. But that should open it up. There we go. Oh. Crap. Oh, he did not joke around with this. All right. He gave me a bunch of shreddings. Perfect. Fuck. I'll show you the top. Yeah, he decided to. Oh, is that not working anymore? Great. All right, whatever. We just go from the front. Anyways, let's empty this thing out. Goodness, my guy. I think I like the foam better. But this is whatever the gentleman sent it to me in. Oh, that's brave of him. Oh, crap. I got... Oh, this is like significantly heavier. Oh, okay. So I'm starting to see where they're doing a lot of cost cutting at. All right, let me just get this box out the way. I think that's it. Anything else I gotta put away somewhere else. God damn. All right. Okay. So here it is. Do a little side-by-side comparison. So this is the older unit, original M1. Oh, they still did this kind of faceplate thing. I didn't know that. Oh, that's a little bit different. The front plate's a little bit different. So let's move the Cuban out the way. So we'll go over all the cost-cutting measures they did, which I think they did a great job. I feel like looks like it's basically the same roaster, just a little bit thinner panels and less metal. Something wrong with this camera of mine. But anyways, here it is. Let's get these screws out the way. Fucking bitch. Ow. Cut myself on something. Anyways, so, I mean, they look almost the same. Front's probably the same. This is the same. Will this work? That fits in there. My little hopper I made for this. Just so it could hold 180 grams. Yeah, it's just missing this really nice thing. It's a little handle. But, oh yeah, this is significantly heavier. Just off the bat, they do things like they don't have this plug in the back. I think that's one of the biggest things, is just it doesn't have that. It still has the same port, USB port in the back. Man, this guy really put a lot of paper all over the place. I don't think that was a good idea. Now I'm stuck with it. Stuck with his financial papers. Anyways, yeah, I mean, you could probably compare the units in the back. The cool thing about these Kaleidos is you can literally just, well, especially for the light, you can pull the back off really easily. It's only held in by one screw. And they give you the tools to take it out. That's one part I like, because you can just open it up that easily. If we take a look over here, we'll see what this one looks like. That's even easier. Oh, there's even paper in there. God damn this guy. It's like paper everywhere. Okay. Boards are a little bit different. It still kind of uses, looks like it uses the same kind of setup. I don't know why they're trying to cover it up, but it's an ESP32 WR Room 32E. I think this has the serial Bluetooth, where the ESP32S3 has like BLE instead of like Bluetooth classic. This should be the same one, I'm assuming. The main board's a little bit different. Bigger heatsink on this. This one has a fan. This doesn't have a fan. So it's the decision they came up with. They probably felt like they didn't need that extra fan in there. But yeah, otherwise it looks like two different motors too. You could tell that they swapped out the motors. It's a kind of a big difference if you compare these two motors that they used. The first M1 actually has they have a more efficient motor on this one. So this one is it's called a brushless motor. So you control the speed by PWMing it. So you pretty much send PWM signals to kind of control the speed. Since this is brushless, they're probably more efficient than these ones. You can tell this is a smaller jump motor, but maybe like a different gearing. I think this is about 100 RPM from what it's 100 RPM motor, and I think this is about the same. Yeah. They're both 12 volt. It's the XD37GB 3525. And you can buy these kind of motors on AliExpress. So a lot of the motors you could buy on AliExpress. This one you can too. This is another motor that's on there. It's like a lot smaller. If you look at here, it's a lot bigger of a motor. So this one's a little bit smaller. This is brushed. This is called the brush motor, and it's actually not as efficient as a brushless setup. You don't control OPWM. You just use voltage to kind of like, you drop the voltage and it slows down the speed of the drum. But still the same style how you mount the bulbs in, which is the fantastic Kaleido style, where it's just like two little screws you take out and then you just pull them out and then put another one back in. It's a lot easier compared to like a Cuban, where you have to pull two sides out and then you have to like kind of work your way to take out this small little bulb. But this only has one bulb. This has two. And I think it's set up for a 4 and a 6, and this is probably the same 4 and a 6. So you two altogether, it's a 1,000 watt bulb system. Really gets it heated up. So yeah. As far as I could tell, those were probably the major differences. Still uses that same standard kind of coupler. You could buy these 8mm to 8mm couplers on AliExpress as well for like $3 or $4. There's another. Well, I'll bring it in closer. So here is the M1, the initial M1. So you compare that to that motor size over here. Brushed motor versus brushless. I think the controller boards are probably different, but that doesn't kind of really matter. You still have to purchase it from them. They're not like something you can make. They probably still kind of use a standard WX style power supply. But still kind of the same setup where the fan blows into here to kind of push air out. I thought it was kind of cool that they do separate a lot of the electronics parts with this like it's like a big old micro gasket. They do it on both here. Like a little bit of a micro gasket here and a micro gasket here. So anyways, and they covered this up. I probably could pull that off. But it's basically an ESP32 system. I'm thinking they're still using the ESP32 WRO room 32E. The biggest difference is like the S3. If you compare like the ones that we use a S3 that doesn't do serial classic Bluetooth connection. It uses Bluetooth low energy. A little bit better in terms of connection stability, and also it is if you're programming any kind of app that uses like BLE or uses any kind of serial connection through Bluetooth through Apple, their protocol is that they have to use Bluetooth low energy. So that's the one we use, so we can have our iOS people able to use Hibean. But you can use Hibeam on either of these classic Bluetooth settings, so they should work just fine. There might be issues with, some people say, with stability of connection. Mine's been fine. I can't really speak on that, but I can say that I think BLE overall is probably a better setup for connecting serially back and forth to each of the roasters. But anyways, yeah, and then motor comparison: small brushed, brushless, PWM controlled. Interesting enough, they have the ability with these brushless motors. You have the ability to use this yellow cord to check how fast the motor's spinning, and if you get the right kind of a setup, you can do like on ESP32S3, you can. I had a setup where I was using the brushless motor to control it at 50 RPMs, like standard, like. So it would just change the amount of like PWM signals sent to the motor if it felt like it wasn't going fast enough. So, but yeah, they don't do that. It's just, it calculates it weird and it's kind of hard to program it. And I just kind of gave up on that. But for a little bit, I was doing that. And then also if you kind of do all that, it kind of just messes up a lot of things. You got to get someone with pretty good code to put that in. But yeah, in case you ever wondered what that extra yellow wire is, that's usually cut off on a brushless motor. That's usually for, I think it's like a Hall sensor or something that's in there that calculates how many rotations that that are occurring in the motor. Then you can use like a formula to calculate RPM if you really wanted to. But yeah, well, basically it looks like the same kind of setup. I didn't realize how easy it is to take off these back panels. Even the M2 is really easy to take off the back panels compared to like a V1 or a Kaleido or a V1 and a Cuban. Okay, so so they probably did save a lot of money switching to this motor compared to this motor, but if they're getting the same kind of efficiency out of it and it's still rotating and not having issues, then you know, keep using it. I think the biggest thing would be just the RPM of this motor. It's it kind of dies when it gets a little bit hot, if it gets too hot. This one literally will not work anymore if there's if you reach like 80 degrees Celsius or above, if the driver inside reaches it. But it is more efficient and has more torque, I think, overall. But I don't know. I don't know what the gearing is on this. But they're both, I think they're usually planetary geared setup, maybe. I'm assuming. It could be a different type of gearing setup, but usually I always find the cylindrical motors that aren't like a weird offshoot onto the left. They're usually in their center drive is mostly a planetary gear setup. What does that mean? Nothing really. It just means how the, you know, how much torque it can produce and how efficiently it can. And some planetary systems, depending on how they're geared, do really well. But you really don't need to know that when you're roasting. Anyways, oh man, that's so nice. I think that might be the only thing I hate about the V1 and the Cuban is they put way too many screws that you have to take out. But this is just a one screw setup and it's already on. This one, you gotta finagle it a little bit more, but it'll go on just fine. You just gotta push it in a little bit and then it'll pull back and it really just sets in place. And then we got this, this is another big difference. This one is just corded in, connects directly to like the power supply and everything. Power supply and the bulbs, it gets routed in. I think there's probably like a terminal somewhere. This one, it actually has this fancy little fuse setup. So if you wanted to be on, if I'd be honest, this would be probably the safer setup overall. So you pay for a little bit in safety with this, right? Because it's a fuse and it could pop if something goes wrong. But I don't think these M1s are notoriously like bad in terms of like popping circuits. Oh, this is incredibly heavy. I'll have to measure it sometime. But we'll turn this around. That's a really heavy duty setup. Oh, okay. Oh, let me pull that out. Here's the front. Kind of looks basically the same. Same kind of setup. More freaking paper from the guy. Yeah, just about the same. It's probably the same trier too. Yeah. It's a smaller trier for the M1. They use like a 15 millimeter trier versus a 16 millimeter trier. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. So the front panel is super simplified for the M1 Lite. So M1 Lite panel is basically here. You slot it in. It definitely feels cheaper. But like, who really cares? It's basically just a fancy cover. Probably gotta push these panels in a little bit closer. Oh, that's why. This one went out a little bit. They use these really shitty to hold the side panels. They use like these little rubber little holder things, and it's already breaking, it's already cut because they're cheap. I think they could have opted to use screws there. You're really trying to save pennies, but who knows? There we go. That goes in there. This slides on in here. You can push this out a bit. That goes in there. This one is just same, a little bit different. They added these like metal hooks so you could slide that on, slide it off. It's a little bit easier to take on and off, but it's kind of unnecessary. So I'm gonna take it off anyways because I prefer that instead. You can just pull these off. Here's pretty much the biggest difference. Yeah. So this one just has less metal. Able to cut costs through that way too as well. It all adds up. I have a darker walnut, lighter walnut, I guess. Still use the same one, but it's not etched in the front. So this one also has this like this nice little, I think it's more of a to look fancy. It's more for just aesthetics, but they have like this extra metal panel that they have on here. I don't think it's totally necessary because they did without it, and I think this is basically what it looks like without this metal panel at the side. So this panel right here, they just have this single panel, and it probably just works fine. But yeah, I mean I think the motor is just the biggest difference, right? Honestly, just that smaller. They use a smaller motor, a smaller brush motor. Those are a lot cheaper to produce versus the brushless. Those brushless motors, they when they're set up with that 5-wire setup, that usually means that there's the driver is already within the motor. Oh, there's no. Oh no. Is there no audio? Oh no, I don't know. My audio is off. Hello? Hello? Is it working on the YouTube? Hello? Oh no, I should have read my chat. Let me double check if it was recording. Sad emoji. I should have shut the fuck up before I kept going. Let me see if it's working on YouTube. It says it's working. Oh, you know what? Let me just check the stream on my phone. Technical difficulties. Oh, you know what? It's working on YouTube. On my phone. Aw. Ooh, Discord. Is it on now? So it's not working on Discord. What a shame. It's buffering on YouTube. I just restarted my computer. Oh, let me try something different. Keep having trouble with this stupid mic. I think that's working. Test, 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 test. Is that working better? Hello? Is this now working? Repat's the only one who can know. Let me see if it's good thing I'm recording. Let me see if it's okay. I probably gotta fix that. Analytics. Hello. The audio current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you use an audio with a stream bitrate of 128 kbps. Okay, we'll do that. Let me see if I can do that. Settings. Buffering on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that one. Properties. Audio. Okay, it is like a sample rate of 48 hertz. How do I change? Well, Oops. Doesn't have any dropped frames. I guess I'll just keep going. All right. Anyways, the difference between these two so far is less metal compared from this one. Game's current bit rate came up again. I gotta look at OBS later. I hope that works. Anyways, okay. Biggest difference, less metal on the M1 Lite. Okay, doesn't really do much in terms of like just looks. I think looks wise, it makes a big difference. And then because the whole chamber is sealed, so that really shouldn't affect the heat transfer or anything like that. Another big one is the motor is probably the biggest change. I think it goes from a brush motor to a brushless motor. Uh, and then what else? These are about exactly the same design. Oh, and then the plug in the back. This one doesn't have this fancy not fancy, but I think it is safer to have, is that plug in the back. That's probably the biggest difference. The motor plug in the back. This is fused, and I don't think this is fused. And handle, which I didn't think would be that important, but it's been kind of nice moving it like this. It is really heavy. Like, well, I guess the Cuban is heavy as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. But it cost well, let's see what that used to cost. Let's find the old cost of we'll look at espresso outlet. Because I think they're the main vendors in the United States. Okay, so yeah, well, let's look at the price. We can kind of compare them. So yeah, $6.99. It's like damn near half the price. No, because this doesn't include the fancy tablet, which isn't that great anyways to begin with. But yeah. So the tablet is not included for the old one. So for this, pretty much this unit, it's about 1,147. So they did a lot of cost cutting. It probably helped that they don't use the wooden box to ship it out anymore. They use a cardboard box with a really nice foam. They took the metal handle out. They took the extra metal on here out, and the front panel is put on differently, so you don't have to add extra metal, which costs all just kind of add up on you. Oh, and then the big one, um, it's not really a deal breaker, but they have you make this now. This part right here. Um, Same exact design, except they made it easier for you to bend it yourself. So you have to set this one up on yourself. These use nice little pop rivets on there. This one uses these plastic ones that do just fine as well. They do the job. They took out the extra vent holes, I guess, but you know, I'm assuming they're just gonna assume you're gonna use these vent holes to suck in the air or whatever to cool off the beans. But yeah, I mean that's about it. Um, but this one will work here and here. It's the same design. The metal's the same. don't think they use, yeah. So yeah, basically just less metals, less screws, a single panel versus a double panel. There's two panels on here on the top one. So it's no longer just one single, or there's not two panels on this, on the Lite. The Lite has just the one single panel that goes over the back and that covers the electronics, where this one has, it's two. But I think it's relatively easy to pull off. Yep, there it is. And there's the chamber. Okay, so yeah. So they were actually just screwing into the to the case. Oh, that's a metal. Oh, never mind. There's another metal sheet that they tack welded onto here, so there's no other holes in the drum. Okay. So yeah, they took a lot of metal out and they ditched this. They just pretty much just the handle. And one less weld. They don't have this weld in there on this one. But yeah, that's about it. Anyways, we're gonna roast on this one today. So we'll go ahead and roast with it. Kind of show you the difference between this roast and how the Cuban roasts. Because I think that there's a big difference when you roast between the two. You can't use the same exact principles from a convection roaster to a radiant heat roaster. Anyways, let's go ahead and I'm going to plug in my Airwave and get that warmed up. And then we'll hook this up to high beam. Let me just plug this in. Oh, yeah. Single panel versus a... Okay, so the audio is working on YouTube, so I can tell that's working. Okay, anyways, all right, so we got the setup. Let's get this warmed up. Let me get this connected to high beam. Where's my connector cable at? Okay, so plug this in here. And let me just start up screen copy. All right, window. Okay, so if you ever want to get the M1 Lite or M1 original M1 onto Hibeam, it's pretty simple. Just got to add it in. Let me make sure I delete my settings for it. Well, that's M1 Lite. So I'm going to do another one for M1. It's not the dual system, so I think you could do the Sniper Pro. And it still uses the same, looks like it still uses the same SRv6. You connect it there. You want to make sure your roaster can connect and make calls. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Last time I didn't do that, it declined. So I just click on that option now. So let's see. It sounds like it's connected. Let's try it out. Good. Fuck, there's still paper in there. Let me get my blower. I need to blow out all the stupid paper that's inside. Otherwise, it's going to burn up the roast. All right. The guy used like shredded paper of like documents, so that's all stuck up in there. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get this going. Let's get it warmed up. So I'm gonna go to device, and then we're gonna hit start manual roasting. Actually, I'm gonna change the name. I'm gonna get confused. So we'll go here. If you ever need to change the name of your roaster, if in case you're like me and you have multiple, not very healthy, but M1, we'll call it Pro. Or the other one was Light. Okay. Start manual roasting. Those are working. I'm gonna hit start preheating. I'm gonna get this to 200 first. We'll let that warm up to 200. I get the fan up to about 50. Good. All right. So got that going. So like I said, today we're gonna have a special little camera with us. We're gonna use let me add this one. Yeah. We're gonna use this one to kind of go over this in the front. Yeah. I'm gonna use it just to see how well it cools off the beans. It's kind of overkill, but use what you got. So I'll probably set this up closer. It's on a tripod. So I'll bring that down a little bit lower. I'll put a tripod here. We're going to see how fast it takes the beans to go from one temperature to another. Just a fun little thing to do. Let me turn that off. All right, so we're gonna let this warm up. So when starting off a roast, I haven't used this roaster, so I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna roast the bean, but I'm not gonna adjust anything. I'm gonna keep it to the same heat, same fan, and just see. We're gonna run it through its paces and see what it sounds like. You can call it like a baseline roast or whatever, but I think it's a good way to, one, if it's our first time using the roaster, seeing how the percentage settings affect at each charge rate or each charge. Like I'm gonna do 150 grams. And especially if it's your first time roasting, at least instead of for first time roasting, it's the first time for the roaster to be roasting, so you have to season it. It's a good this process is a good time to also use beans that you're not really going to care about, but you still get to learn how to see what's going on with the beans, smell what's going on, and then hear is a big one, so you could hear what first crack sounds like, and you're not adjusting like the temperatures. And you can kind of go through a walkthrough of like when these events occur. Like if yellowing occurs, it comes out like around 155, 160. And then you could see what that looks like. And then you could maybe around 188 to 195 between there, first crack comes. So you could just try to wait and see what that sounds like. Because when you do your first time roasting, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of difficult to really understand what those are without actually doing it. And then also, if you're first time roasting, you should probably look up like a Virtual Coffee Lab. Is I think one of the better like coffee roasting YouTube channels that teaches you how to roast. He's very on it, step by step, what you should do, what you should look at, the reasoning why. Mike on there is amazing, so I learned a lot from him, and I definitely appreciate that channel a whole lot more. Anyways, we're gonna let this warm up. I am gonna turn my DI fluid cafe. I gotta turn on my airwave so I don't smoke up my whole garage. And with my airwave, I don't do anything crazy. I just kind of have it set up perched right here, so it just sucks up all the air that comes out. I don't want like a direct connection because sometimes that causes a little bit of like moisture to come out because of the hot air hitting the duct. And the duct is cool sometimes, so it might cause some moisture. What I plan on doing is printing out like a hooded range and just putting it on top, and then having it just suck in all the air that comes out when I'm roasting on here. But we'll warm this up to about, I don't know, we'll warm it up to 200 degrees Celsius, let it warm up for about 5 or 10 minutes. Kind of get that going. Yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna have it like maybe 50% to see what happens with these beans, and then kind of go over each stage and phase and what you should hear for and look for when you're doing your first seasoning roast. And Kaleido, well, not fans, but their users do recommend using the seasoning your beans. See if I could just restart this. Try restarting Discord. Uh-oh. Is that freaking out? Test. It says my mic is working. Voice isolation. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, that's warming up. We'll give it about 5 minutes to warm up, and then we'll put some beans in. Let me go measure out 150 grams. So we're gonna do this. What is this? Maybe we'll do that one. We'll do a Colombia. Mild Colombian coffee. Lower level of acidity, welcoming rustic dark chocolate, savory sweet nutty notes, earthy hints of herbs, and fresh cut wood. We're gonna try that out. Actually, if I'm gonna do my testing one, let me try something else. I'll try one of the beans. I'm kind of excited for that one. So I want to try another bean that I'm not really too into. Peru, I think. Do I have that other Peru? Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, this will work. All right. So this one's a Peru. I don't know any of the. I forgot all the specs for it. I've been using this as my my seasoning, sampling, and kind of general bean I need to get rid of. My demo bean. Give it another minute or so, and then we're gonna switch to roasting. Like I said, I'm just gonna leave it at 50, and I think I'm gonna just do a 50-50. We'll consider this a seasoning roast, although this is a used roaster, so it should technically be seasoned already. So checking if the door is closed. Good. Oh, I didn't notice that it's also laser etched into here and not in here. So, oh boy. Okay, so what we'll do now, I think that's been long enough. So I'm gonna drop these beans in. I got my little hopper thing that I'm gonna use so I can hold all 150 grams of the beans. This one doesn't fit as well as the other. Okay. This one doesn't fit as well as the other one, but it's all right. I'm gonna just load these up. Okay, So I'm gonna drop these beans in and then hit charge. I'm gonna drop this to 50. Hopefully the audio is working on Discord. Oh, and when you're roasting on high beam, to get it off of auto heat mode, you just got to change this heater, and then I'll take it off of auto mode and put it into manual burner mode. You just have to make sure you set a target temperature, and that target temperature just means it won't go past 220 degrees. Let that run for a bit. So for now, I'm just looking how the trajectory is going. It's like a little bit of plateau in there. Bring that to the side. I'm going to leave it on this. I'm just going to let it run through the whole course. I'm not going to change the heat, and we're going to kind of see what naturally occurs with ROR when you're roasting. Oh, the M1 Lite comes with a light. I didn't realize that. That's pretty nifty, I guess. Totally unnecessary, but nifty nonetheless. So yeah, so the M1 comes with a light. The M1 Lite doesn't. So, but also the M1 Lite doesn't cost 1,200 or whatever dollars. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it run through its course. Biggest thing to take away here is just noticing how when you're roasting on a convection roaster, if you leave it within a state that is just constant heat and constant fan, you're gonna always have a declining ROR. So that's just like the natural thing that happens with the convection roaster. Probably the biggest takeaway too is just that naturally, um, you don't have to worry too much about trying to get that declining ROR. It does come naturally. You just gotta adjust heat and your mostly heat uh, slowly over time, and you should be able to get a nice decline. So I'm just waiting until it reaches around 155. Then I'm gonna start checking if it's reached the yellowing phase. A lot of times people try to get out of this phase within like 4 or 5 minutes, which is the first phase. So once you hit dry end, then you'll get into the Maillard phase. And then a lot of people will decrease their heat there so they could stay in that phase as long as they can, or as long as it's to keep that thermal inertia. You want to keep that thermal inertia going because it kind of definitely helps with the first crack. I don't get too hopped up on like these ups and downs. I just get worried when there's a significant like what the, people always consider flicks or crashes, and not because I want to avoid them or anything. Um, they're actually just harder to replicate if you do the roast again. There's some roasters that report like they had fantastic roasts when it became with a flick. They're just upset now that they can't recreate it. And at this time, you could pull your trier, take a peek. So it looks a little green. So I'm gonna check again. Smell it. Smells like some baked goods. And then I'm gonna hit that because that looked pretty yellow. Okay, so now we're in the yellowing phase. What people normally would do is like kind of decrease the heat over. I'm just gonna let it run its course, see what it goes on. Then I'm gonna show you what it kind of looks like on a high beam when you do the same kind of roast. You do like if you leave it at the same constant heat and constant temperature, or constant heat and constant fan. But yeah, anyone who does their like seasoning roast, I still think it's a good idea just to listen, smell, and just kind of see how this roast goes over time. You don't necessarily have to like drink this right away or drink your seasoning roast at all. You could toss it, but it's just kind of cool to see what happens. So how the Kaleidos are usually set up is they're a two lamp system. They got two lamps. They're within like this pathway of the air that sucks it in from here. That goes into, and Mike did a good job explaining it too. He has like a nice little picture of it, but there's also a Kaleido picture from marketing that shows that it sucks the air in and it circulates the cold air, heats it up in the chamber, and then by the time it gets to the bean, it's already heated up. And that's a lot different compared to like a Cuban where it's just a lamp and it's really relying on that radiant heat to get to those beans. Yeah, just gonna let it run its course. And usually for my first roast on a new roaster, or if I'm telling someone how to roast for the first time, I usually tell them to keep the air the same, like your fan the same, drum speed the same, and just adjust heat, just so you get a better feel of how to roast. Otherwise, if you're changing all these different things at the same time, you're gonna have a really hard time trying to figure out how to roast. You got to just see what happens when you do one change to one thing, um, and see how that affects the roast. You don't want to like change all the things all at once and then get confused why you got a good roast this time. You can't remember what steps you took. Another big thing is just let taste be your guide. You don't want to get too hung up on um, like is it tasting the right way if you haven't even tasted it yet. There's cracks here. That was one, two. I need three. One, one, two, three. There. I usually don't go off the first crack. The first crack that I hear, I stick with the whole symphony of cracks. Sweet Maria always described as listening for like a symphony of like instead of just like a pop pop and then a long pause pop. They always say try waiting for like a pop pop pop. So 3 pops. Let me get the thermal camera up. We'll do a minute 30 on this one. Oh. And I'm gonna hit drop. So here's all the beans right over here. That's my finger. And all the beans are out, so I'm gonna just drop that down there. Surprisingly, this is the hottest spot right here. This corner. Roasters this way, that's the trier right here. Okay. All right, so just waiting for the beans to cool. All right, so beans have cooled. It's about 35 degrees Celsius to where it's pointed at. All right, so it looks like it's cooled off pretty well, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there. Oh, let me complete this log. So I just gotta put some info on there. So coffee bean tea tails, I'm just gonna put it as this Peru that I got a long time ago. Then I said 150 grams here. Hmm. Oh, another important thing is trying to get better at this label designer. So now I have this already automatically set up. So what I'll do is I'm going to print out a label from here. So I have a Rolo by my setup. So I'm just going to put this like, we'll save that on for the next roast. I'll pull that out. I might taste it a little bit later. We'll see. We'll let this unit cool off. Anyways, all right. So there, that's one roast with the Kaleido, the original Kaleido M1. It felt like I was roasting with the Kaleido M1 Lite. So I honestly think that this is, just thinking about it now, it's even more of a fantastic deal that you're able to get this for $6.99. I even touch that. It's too hot. Yeah. Just because it's connected right to the chamber, it's going to be significantly hot when you grab onto this. But that's probably like the only place where it could have a real good uh to hold and be able to hold the unit without burning your hand. Okay. So that's all done. Let's go let's look at this roast. So anything we could glean on it is like we really didn't touch anything. We kept it at 50%, kept the air at 50%, heat at 50%, air at 50%, drum is the same. So you could compare it like this, like you could say uh, the convection naturally over time, the ROR will decline on its own. Now let's take a picture of the Cuban if we were to do the same thing. So it's a much deeper, steeper decline, and this is with the Cuban on the bottom. So I kept that same the whole way through, and a bit of a decline, but it's not as dramatic as it would be for for like a radiant heat roaster, and there's a lot bigger, longer plateau. And then if we look at, let me see if I could find a good, like if you have like the lamp right in the middle, you even get bigger plateaus with the. We'll look up I've been using it with the Skywalker one. That one. So here with the Skywalker, it's a lot more evident that it's more a radiant heat roaster because I left it at like 45 and then dropped it to 40. Not big changes, but it is plateauing a lot higher. It's not a dramatic decline in ROR, where a convection one has a little bit more of a dramatic decline. And that's just indicating different type of heat styles. The way that the beans absorbing the heat through infrared radiation for like a radiant heat roaster compared to how air is kind of heating up the beans. And that convection way of transferring heat. There's like, well, it's like a lot. It's a bigger difference. Here's a Q-bean, and then here is we'll go back to the Skywalker one. And that's this is the same thing, but with Skywalker V2. yeah, that's when I messed up on the heat. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest difference. So in the sense that you might want to try roasting your coffee a little bit differently when it comes to a radiant heat roaster and a convection. What else is there? So that's actually cool to touch. That's probably still hot. I wonder if that worked as a good way to deflect the heat on this panel. Anyways, I'm gonna start roasting another bean with this one. Something I want to roast with. I'm gonna try to do a comparison roast between the two. I'm gonna shoot for light, and we're gonna try shooting light in different styles. But let me I'm gonna use the light one now. As soon as that cools off. Oh, I do like that. I kind of like that back switch. Right, let's hook up the M1 Lite now. And we'll turn off the flare. All right, next up, we'll do the M1 Lite now. If I have enough time, we'll do the Cuban. Well, let's warm it up first. So let's get this one set up. Start the preheat. All right, so we'll warm this one up, see how it goes. See how the temperature is not moved up? It's because I haven't set up a target temperature. And with Kaleidos, you need to set up a target temperature. Pretty much setting up that SV value. That's good. Let me go get the trier for this. All right. Let that run for a bit. Mike from Virtual Coffee Lab did an excellent video on like managing your heat percentages slowly over time. So we'll kind of try doing that. I'm gonna see what I could do. I'm gonna start with let's see. We're gonna do this lot. Guatemala, Hue, Tanago, Lote, Hamacas. Balanced sweetness stood in all of our roasts, with City being great place to start, City Plus. Layered sweetness, Dolce de Leche, caramelized sugars, flan, mild citrus brightness, dense body, City to full, and City Plus. So I'm gonna do this on here, on the Cuban, and then if I have some left over, I'm gonna try doing it on the Nano. So yeah, while that's warming up, let's talk about the Kaleido M1 Lite. So here it is, $699. Hopefully they don't change the price or increase it, because I think it's right now it's at it's great where it's at. The changes they made, honestly, are perfectly fine. You don't really need the handle. You don't need that extra metal. The side panels still look good. The front panel I think is better on the M1 Lite, just because it's a little bit more simpler. You don't have to add like these ridiculous, not ridiculous, but like these extra metal studs to hold on a front panel. They really slim down everything. Uh, One of the biggest interesting things I'm concerned about, not concerned, but interested about, is the drum performance, like how well this brush motor is going to last, and how, yeah, pretty much just how the replacement will be if it does eventually go shut down, because these motors, you put enough heat on them, they will die over time. But I think you're only supposed to do like 5 back-to-back roasts on it, so maybe they've done enough testing to show that it's not too bad, but who knows. But it's definitely a brand new motor. It's not the same brand they're using before. It's like a GA370, something like that. Anywho, I think, well, and then they have that plug thing in the back, where I do like that plug that's switchable. So in case like a thermal runaway were to happen, I could at least flick that switch. But you know, at the same time, I could always just unplug it manually, just pull the cord out. But it's nice that it does have a fuse in case something goes wrong. So that's another safety thing that you can appreciate. So, anyways, so the M1 Lite 200-gram roaster, about $699, 700 something, some change. But you still have options like the Cuban. We'll look it up on Artisan. I'm gonna find where did I put my keyboard? Where'd I put it? Drop it back here. Now I'm looking for my keyboard. Oh God, it's right in front of me. All right. So senior moment. So we'll look at the Cuban. You can buy this one on Artisan. I think they're the ones who's selling them now, but there seems to be the company selling all of the Skywalker kind of roasters. We'll go to their roaster. So if you want to get something a little cheaper, I think it roasts just fine. There is the Cuban, which is this roaster right over here. There's the same amount. Basically, looks like it's the same design, except the lamp isn't a double lamp. It's like one 700-watt lamp. Um, Handles 200 grams, just like the M1. Um, but it's more of radiant heat. It's not trying to use like a convection. It's just really relying on radiant heat roasting. Right out the box, it doesn't come with Artisan. like this one is. So that's another thing you have to be kind of concerned if you were to get the Cuban, because how am I going to connect it to Artisan? Community came together. We figured out you could go a little extra, get one of these M5 dials, or you really don't need to do that. You just buy an ESP32S3, which is one of these, and then there is a little module that you could either buy off of me, or you could buy a module from Hibean itself, and it basically installs one of these so it can control this roaster like you would an M1. It's no fidget though. Don't get it twisted. This ain't no fidget. This is a lot cheaper. I think it's way better than the fidget in terms of the customization you could do. You just have to know how to code. I don't know how to code, but I was able to put firmware on it and get it to work with the Skywalker V1 a while back. So I don't think it's too difficult. It's actually pretty easy to install. The hardest part is like finding a nice way to keep it out, because if you were to do the Artisan conversion with the ESP32S3, you're basically just getting rid of this controller. You won't be able to use the stock controller unless you buy one of these M5 dials that has the ESP32S3 built in. But installing it onto this is pretty simple. It's really just unplug, you unscrew the back of the panel, you remove that plug in there, and you just plug it right into the ESP32 with a special connector. But if you want a special connector, let me know. I can always, they're really easy to make. I can solder one up in like a minute. Whether my soldering job is nice, don't put that on me. Anyways, that's been warming up for a bit. I'm gonna go get the beans ready. So we're gonna do 150-gram roast. Sweet Maria has them in like these where can I put these beans? I got these tester beans that I was trying to mess with a while ago. Let's go back to here. All right. Warm this up. So that's about 200 degrees Celsius. All right, let's go weigh some beans out. Okay. Ah. So 150 grams in here. Okay, got 150 grams in there. this thing back on. Okay. That's in. That's good. I'm gonna hit charge. Pull this out. All right. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna go. Let's go 75. All right. All right. RR is gonna come back up, and then we're gonna try see how this goes. All right. So drop the beans in. Now we're just waiting for the RR to peak up. Like we saw before, it does naturally decline. So I'm going to see how it peaks the first time, and then I'll probably try to slowly drop down the temperature over time, or not temperature, the heat percentage over time. But I'm going to keep fan and drum basically at the same setting. So it's kind of expected to go really quick through the first phase. So I'm going to drop the heat by a lot. Oh, it might have been too much. All right. We'll see how this goes. We'll let it just kind of happen over time. I'm hoping to spend at least 4 minutes in this phase, but we'll see. I think I might have relied on the prediction just a little too much, but it's okay. I'm gonna start using the fan just like I do really small changes. Make sure it's on track to still at a slow decline. Smells great. Looking at it. Oh, where is that? Yeah. The yellow. Probably need a faster drum. Okay, now I want to extend it out in this phase a little bit more, so I'm gonna keep dropping it a little bit at a time.
I don't want to go too low, so I'm going to try and maybe just do more air changes. Pop, pop, pop. At least I thought it was. Uh-oh. What to readjust it. Okay, first crack's happening right now. So 7 minutes, 13 seconds. I'm just gonna, the nice thing about it is I'm gonna just move that first crack up to 7 minutes and 13 seconds. I'll show you how to do that. I'm gonna go for like a minute 15. I'm gonna try to keep this light. Oh, sorry. Minute 30. Well, minute 30 then. And drop. And while that's going on, I'm gonna warm this one up. Yeah, basically cooled off. Oh, that's still a little bit warm in there, but it's not bad. All right, same deal. 150 grams in the All right, so I'm gonna complete this log on this one. So I'm gonna call this wait. Guatemala. Watts. I'll put that other stuff in later. Cancel, save, go back, move it 150. Confirm. All right. Well, that's going on. I'll turn this off too. I'll turn it off on its own and then hit exit. We're gonna go to Cuban. All right. I'm gonna go to device, start roasting, start preheat, get that up to 200, and we'll do the same thing. That was at 131. Perfect. Got enough time to get this roast in, and we should be good. All right, Cuban's up next. So with the Hibean, you notice that it doesn't have ET, so that you can't measure ET. Well, you can. You just got to add the that the probe in there, and you could do that using a thermocouple and a max amplifier. You can add it that way if you really wanted to measure environmental temperature, or if you want to be fancy and be like other people who literally just stuck it up in the exhaust and were able to measure exhaust temperatures, because some people like to see that kind of data as well. So there's different ways you could customize it. With all roasters, there's different ways you could add little customizations. We try to find workflows to where it's easy to add on. That's gonna warm up a bit. I'm gonna go grab a little bin for it. there's the cooling tray for this one. Let me take off the fleur. That hit 200, so we'll let that warm up for a bit. Okay, warming up. Oh, let me sure I got my car keys. Oh, I'll be right back. I trust in the PID. There they are. Found them. Hey, I found them. Come on. Give that a little bit to warm up. About maybe like 5 minutes or so. So this unit isn't sealed, right? The Cuban blur keeps coming up. So this using it, it's not sealed at all, really. It's not really trying to keep everything sealed in. It's not a convection roaster. Radiant heat is really relying on those infrared to kind of warm up the beans. It's also not a drum. It's technically an agitator. Well, I mean, it's encased in a drum, but it has an agitation paddle, three-prong, like a three-prong agitation paddle that moves the beans around. So that's different in the sense. It's kind of more similar to how roast does it in terms of like agitating the beans. I'm not trying to compare it to like a roast, to be honest. It's nowhere near as quality, and the telemetry is nowhere near as good as that. So, but it does use that kind of style of agitating the beans and moving them around. One thing that really sucks about the Cuban is, I like more on the M1 is just the overall hopper, just to get all the beans in, is big enough to fit 150, a little too small for 200 grams. So that's why I have that blue thing that I put on. It's just it literally just raises it up a little bit higher so I can add the beans in. It kind of just fits in like that, and it just tops it off over the top so it doesn't go it's not the beans aren't spilling out when I put 200 grams in when I start doing 200-gram roasts. All right, I need to make a little hopper for this. Drop it. I should have hit charge before. That's all right. We'll keep it at 60. See how that goes. I'm gonna try to do the same kind of RRR style, I guess. But I don't know. I don't usually don't get that better flavor. You're doing it that way. I've been like plateau maxing it, trying to plateau it through the first phase, and then drop it down a bit when I reach development, not development, browning phase, and drop it down again a little bit on during first crack. So this is a single lamp, 700 watt single lamp. It's been what's it called? It's like a ruby red tint. It's a 55. I don't know why it went back up. It's weird. Must be on some weird profile setting. The sight glass is a little bit bigger, so looks like yellowing phase. Ugh. Seems like it's doing pretty good. So it's doing the declining ROR stuff. And I'm going to plateau it on the next one. I think I have enough to do another batch of at a plateau. Ooh, I wasn't watching. Might be indicating first crack's coming. I don't know why my fan keeps doing that. Oh, why did it go back to 50? What the fuck? Why is it doing that? First crack. All right, we're still trying to decline this ROR. Even though I don't know what profile's being ran through this stupid thing. Bring this up here. Cool. All right, so that was the Cuban roast. I don't know why my profile kept changing. I think I have some weird setting on the Skywalker or the Cuban. Let me double. I gotta double check it later. But I can complete this log. So that again was 150 grams. That's the wah, wah, wah. 250 grams. All right, I'm gonna go taste this later. I'm gonna go pick up my kid though. But anyways, it looks like the beans already cooled off. Yeah, looks good. About yeah, warm to touch. So all right, cooled it off in a pretty good amount of time. Okay, well that's it for me for today. So that's M1, the M1, M1 Lite, and then the Cuban all on Hibean today. So I did a 3 roast today with those. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you like the info, go ahead and ask me any questions or let me know if you have any thing you want to ask. So I think that's a pretty good rough comparison with the workflow of the Cuban and the M1 Lite. If you're curious and really want to get into it and want maybe a sample between each of the two and see what maybe you prefer, I guess I could send you a sample too. Just hit me up. Send me a you know email at blemcrafted@gmail.com, and I can we can talk about like if you want to sample one or if you're interested in like my thoughts on the M1 Lite or the Cuban. Both fantastic roasters. Just this one here is 350 bucks, and then this one's 700 bucks. So it's kind of up to you. You're missing out on things like the trier if you get the Cuban, but some people are in the realm that they don't need a trier because that messes with the thermodynamics of everything inside. Whatever. Um, right now we're implementing a trier. I'm implementing a trier today on this side. We're gonna play around with it and see how that goes, and then I'll let everyone know what the results are. But yeah, if you want to try to sample it up, let me know. I'm always down. Thank you.